So now let's introduce the next speaker, which should be present online. It's Carolina Adler of the Mountain Research Institute of Switzerland, and the title of her talk is The Mountain Research Initiative and Efforts to Foster, Monitor and Research in Mountain Regions Worldwide. Carolina, are you here with us?
Thank you. Yes, I can hear you fine. I hope that you can hear me okay as well, and you can see my screen.
I can see your screen. Thank you, Katerina.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for the introduction. Indeed, it's a pleasure for me to join this event, and thank you for the opportunity to be here with you. So my name is Carolina Adler, as mentioned. I represent the Mountain Research Initiative, and here I would like to just outline some of the activities that we're undertaking in efforts to support monitoring and research in mountain regions around the world. One of the things that I would like to start with is a bit of the history as to why the MRI came about in the 1990s, leading up to the establishment of its coordination office in 2001. And this was largely in response to the call made by at the UN General Assembly in the year 2000 in preparations for the International Year of Mountains in 2002. And this is their goal to achieve an integrated approach for observing, modeling, and investigating global change phenomena and processes in mountain regions, including the impacts of those changes and of human activities on mountain ecosystems. So there's been a long trajectory over the past 20 years to try and work towards that goal, and that's still ongoing to this day. And one of the things that has really played a key role in being able to mobilize action towards that goal has been the social capital and the need to connect people. At the end of the day, this is all about a social process that comes about as we connect with each other. So one of the things that the MRI is currently focusing its energies on is to try and facilitate research that produces three kinds of knowledge. And this is about understanding the systems, understanding also and identify visions and targets for where we wish to be, and the solutions or the means by which we reach those targets, so transformations towards those visions. And this is consistent with the original vision by which the MRI came about. And it's important also to recognize that the MRI is a network of thousands of individuals and institutions that are fragmented all over the world. And so the role of the MRI Coordination Office is really to fulfill 7 functions in support of that network. So what comes about from the MRI is both a function of what the coordination does in support of the community and what the community also does as part of the goals that we set ourselves to achieve. And how we do that, or how do we connect the two, is essentially through activities and many of the initiatives that the MRI has put together over the years. And this is really important to underscore the need for us to highlight the social process that goes with that. And one of the key activities that I would like to take the opportunity to go into a little bit more detail today is called GeoMountains, which is the global network on observations and information in mountain environments, which is a global network that has come together under the umbrella of the Group on Earth Observations, hence the acronym GeoMountains. And GeoMountains has been supported greatly in the past year or so through what's called the Adaptation at Altitude program. And the objective here is twofold. On the one hand is to improve the knowledge of appropriate climate change adaptation strategies in mountains. So going beyond just observing the signals of climate change and the impacts that the climatic change is having on the mountains, but also what sort of responses are happening and what sort of adaptive response can we undertake to support it. And the second objective is also to transfer that knowledge and make it usable and applicable, not just for science policy in the form of platforms, but also to inform decision-making and mobilize regional and global policy processes. And for mountains, it's particularly important that we recognize the need for regional cooperation. Mountains are at a scale that transcends country borders, and is important to recognize that the regions have a central role here to play. And this is just an overview of the partners that are involved in this program, and MRI is very pleased to be one of them. And what's important also to recognize here is that each of these partners, of course, they all have their own networks as well, which makes the community and partnership potential actually quite large. And these are some of the regions in which we are currently working, focusing primarily in the Andes, South Caucasus, East Africa, Hindu Kush, Himalaya. But there's also quite a number of other regions which are part of the Geo Mountains network as well. And we are placing particular importance in being able to connect our colleagues from North America, across Europe, and also Central Asia and Southern Africa. So there's still quite a lot of ongoing work to do on this front. So these are the four key main goals, if you like, or aspects within adaptation at altitude. And I'll just touch upon one, which is where the MRI and Geo Mountains comes in. And this is about data, information and monitoring. So the aim here is really to contribute to that knowledge system, if you like, that supports decisions and actions that address climate impacts and adaptation. And it comes down to being able to make mountain observation data and information services available and reachable and connected. Very much like mountain regions all over the world, knowledge is also scattered and fragmented all over the world. And it's important for us to recognize that they need to flourish and thrive in their own context. But it's also equally important to try and bring them together and find ways to integrate. And I would welcome you to have a look at our website and take a look at some of the activities that are ongoing right now. So this is just an overview of what Geo Mountains is trying to achieve, and it's about connecting many dots, also thematically. This is about data and information pertaining to biosphere, climate, cryosphere, hydrosphere, meteorology, and the impacts that those interactions have, for instance, in how natural hazards manifest and the trends and projections about those, as well as society and governance, including demographic change. Let's not forget that social demographic change is happening in mountains as well, and it happens in very different contexts and in different ways as well. And economic sectors, not least agriculture and tourism, as well as energy production. So these are important connections to be making, and we are making steadfast results in terms of being able to connect a lot of the data and information that we're seeing that pertains specifically to mountains. And there are a number of inventories that I would like to also invite you to have a look and access through our website. There's quite a wealth of information already available on mountains, but being able to integrate them in a usable way is still quite a way to go. One of the things that we're really working on at the moment as well is looking at essential variables, and in particular the way in which the climate essential variables also play a role in mountains, and which one of those and at which scales make sense for us detecting signals of climate change in mountains. As the speaker before us alluded to, there is the elevation dependent warming. There is a working group within the MRI that started much of that conceptual work, and also now the elevation dependent climate change working group that's precisely looking at substantiating, if you like, some of those trends that have been reported in SROC and also in AR6. Speaking of AR6, one of the things that we're very pleased to have been able to support in the past couple of years is the preparations towards the Working Group 2 contribution to AR6. This is on climate change impacts, adaptation and vulnerability. And we have the cross-chapter paper Mountains as well as part of that, which is a new innovation as part of the IPCC reporting format. And this gives us a very specific opportunity to bring together and synthesize key findings that have been brought about through the AR6 cycle, including those of the special report on the ocean and cryosphere SROC, which I also had the opportunity to be a lead author in for high mountain areas. And through the co-lead coordination with my colleagues at ICIMO, we're very pleased to be able to announce that the Mountains cross-chapter paper was just submitted in the past couple of weeks, and we're very much looking forward to the approval session, which is scheduled for next February. So this is just an overview of some of the contributions that we've been able to harness thanks to the network that exists. And these are some of the results that will be showcased in that report after the approval session in February 2002. So apologies, I can't go into the details of those results right now, but this is something to look forward to in February. So just to wrap up this presentation, coming back to the mission, I guess, that set us off on a course more than 20 years ago, is important for us to recognize that connecting people and building collective social capital comes about through valuing knowledge as a social process. And the networks and the facilitators that bring about the people and knowledge together play an important role for us to not lose the memory that we've been gathering over 20 years, precisely at a time where we need to be making much more effort towards climate change, adaptation and mitigation. Thank you very much. I look forward to the discussion.
Thank you very much, Carolina. Thank you also for having highlighted the importance of data. Data availability is a very important topic for high-level areas where we do not have enough data in many regions of the world. Thank you again, Carolina.